Welcome to Season 3 of the Knack for Business podcast. Over 300 episodes strong, we're here to ignite your entrepreneurial spirit with fresh insights, networking gems, and creative strategies that elevate your game. Are you ready to discover what your Knack for Business truly is? Your hosts are Bernie Franz-Grote from Creative Insight and Wayne Pratt from Motivate You, Inc.
Today's topic is Dubai, Sales and Scaling Smart, the Entrepreneurial Playbook for Growth. Now, from the audience perspective, why is your business struggling to generate consistent sales? And how can you create a simple, effective system to close more deals? This is where our guest comes into play, Janine Lingenfelder from Jeleni Sales. Janine is a dynamic virtual sales mentor and a driving force behind Jeleni Sales, where she helps businesses simplify and optimize their sales strategies. Based in the UAE, United Arab Emirates, Janine brings a global perspective to sales psychology, marketing insights, and revenue growth tactics, working closely with SMEs and brands across industries to turn missed opportunities into measurable success. Her expertise lies in strategic planning, lead generation, and sales process refinement, all delivered with a tailored, results-driven approach. Passionate about helping businesses scale without the burden of a full-time sales team, Janine also shares her insights as a host of the Women Wise podcast, where she empowers female entrepreneurs and leaders with strategies for growth, leadership, and success. Janine, welcome. Welcome. And what's your favorite quote or saying, ma'am?
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for that, Bernie. I like to know this, Janine. She sounds amazing.
Cheers.
No, thanks for this opportunity. Really appreciate it.
So what's your business tagline?
It's cold calling made warm, actually. And it's all about exactly that sentence, calls made warm. It's all about the how to, though.
Wow. So how do you make that happen? How do you make the cold calls warm?
It's all about knowing what to say, understanding your client, knowing your target market. There's a lot to do with just picking up the phone. You need to know who you're phoning and understand that you can really add value. Without that, it's truly going to stay cold.
That makes perfectly good sense. So I understand you're originally from South Africa, and then you decided to migrate north of your location. Why UAE? And no complaint. It's just, other than it's really sunny all the time, and it's typically warm, even in winter compared to Canada.
100%. No, it is definitely a different environment. So I'm going to just give you the shorter version, but my husband got a job opportunity for the same company he worked for in South Africa, and the position opened here in Dubai. And without a blink, we said, yes, let's go and do this. And moving from South Africa to Dubai at the beginning of 2023, clearly it was an emotional roller coaster, but a good one as well, because it was reinforcing the fact that the power of adaptability, the networking opportunities, and taking bold actions is what it's all about.
So you started a sales consultancy and you found a way to make it consistent. Tell me about some of the setbacks you overcame.
Oh my goodness. There's always setbacks, isn't there? So although Jeleni was successful in South Africa, when we moved from South Africa to Dubai, I had to rebuild my whole business, client base, establish credibility, and really created new opportunities totally from scratch. And that experience made me even more committed to helping businesses finding the right connections, as well as building strong sales foundations and create success no matter where they are in the world. But some of the struggles, I must be honest with you, was to really get the message across for people to truly understand what accountability means for them in their business.
So you're in a new land, not new anymore. You've been there for a couple of years. Is your target market also just residing in the UAE, or is it in that part of the hemisphere? I find it fascinating because it's cool to be able to jump countries and still maintain what you do. Is your audience or your clientele part of the African continent? Is it that part of the world, or are you global?
It's global. As much as it is global, my focus is still to really be established and be known as the sales accountability partner within the UAE. That is my goal. And to get there, there's still a lot of processes and steps to be taken, but that would be my ultimate achievement for the UAE, stepping stone to really be known for the sales accountability partner.
What do you wish Janine had told you 2 years ago that you've learned?
That's a big question, Wayne. It really is a big question. And I thank you for that. It's to never be afraid of moving out of your comfort zone, because that is where the magic lies. And most of the time we are scared. Fear kicks in very quickly and we put it in that, oh, I'll do it next time. And that box sometimes never gets opened. So if I could tell myself in 2 years back, step out of your comfort zone, even more so in terms of being in a new city.
It's all about lead generation to get people to go, okay, I want that. And we talked about the warm call, knowing your audience. How do you figure that out? Let's say I produce widgets and I'm on this side of the world and I want to do sales globally. How do you figure out that widget will fit well with someone in another country? And I'm not just talking about like the Middle East, but in Asia, because cultures are different, right? There's color matters, the expressions matter. They're unique to that space. Even here in Canada, you go across the coast, you'll have their unique flavors that crop up. How do you make that connection for somebody? How do you help them develop that connection with their audience?
So from experience, it's all about knowing your goal, having that vision, and it's all about understanding the value that you can add to the audience. And with that, working with someone from another country or another city I always say to my clients that your testimonials are your clients are the ones that actually sell your services or your product. You shouldn't be able to do that. So the more testimonials you have, the better it is for you to create the relationships that you are looking for within the services and businesses that you're looking for. And this is not necessarily just written testimonials. Video testimonials are more powerful than written testimonials. And I think we all can agree with that, because there's an emotional trigger as well, where people can resonate and relate to those videos. And that's where the power lies.
You're working with founders, and sometimes founders are not successful salespeople out of the box. Sometimes they're introverts. I'm an extrovert, so I can't even help myself. But how do you help founders sell?
Wayne, I love that question. At the end of the day, sales is a habit, it's not a skill. And we need to remember that mastering comes from daily actions, not just knowledge. It's AI today. AI is helping you to go through certain steps in your business, but there's still a human element that goes with your business. So it's the same with knowledge. Knowledge requires actions to actually move forward. And it's the same as we've heard this thing where people say that your network is truly your net worth. Relationships build businesses. Nurture them. If that is something that I can add to that, is nurture them, because they do make a big difference in your business.
I can totally agree with that. And that's how we were introduced through a mutual acquaintance named Debbie. And she's in Australia, so that just shows you the reach, and which I think is fantastic. So as sales start to improve, are you just looking at the bottom line numbers? Are you looking at revenue ticks, or is there more that you measure? Is it, you have the feedback, you mentioned that, which is really good to have, right? Especially video testimonials. But what else do you measure? What other metrics do you track, or that a person should be aware of?
With my experience, it's absolutely everything you do when it comes to sales. If you're not tracking, you're guessing. And that's a problem. Well, how are you going to measure your success? How do you know what works? How are you going to be tweaking what really matters? If you're not tracking every step, and it sounds like work, it isn't work. If you take it as a daily step and chunk it down, it's going to be far easier for you to realize the necessary steps to take to move forward, because you've got enough data, you're tracking your systems, you're tracking your movements, and it's where you want to be, because it comes back to what is the goal? Your goal should always be written down on a whiteboard. It must be in your face constantly as that reminder of this is where I want to be. And how you're going to get there? Through actions and tracking. Without data, you're guessing, and that's not a good space to be in, especially for as a business owner.
So, what simple steps can you help an entrepreneur get consistent on? What's the secret sauce?
Secret sauce, that is, you know what, obviously there's a few in terms of secret sources, but I do believe that if you focus on what you do and how you do it, accountability it's the secret sauce. There's no doubt about it. And accountability, the reason for that is motivation fades. Motivation fades because life happens, but discipline drives results. And that's where accountability comes in. When you know someone that is going to be checking on your progress and also how far and how likely you are to do certain things, then that is where accountability turns into intentions into actions.
You a fractional sales manager?
You know what? Someone actually said to me the other day that, are you not then a sales manager that's been outsourced, an outsourced sales manager? And that kind of, it resonated with what I do. So I would say yes. The answer is yes to that.
When you mentioned accountability, usually that means there's someone else to echo to, or someone else that's beside you, not necessarily family or even someone inside your company, but there's someone at an outside source, and not a taskmaster, but more, by the way, and probably it's probably a mutual situation where, did you get there today? And so is that something that you provide, that kind of a community where you have that, you can ping things off? It's almost like crowdsourcing, right? Except it's specific for motivation. So are you like an exercise coach? Is that, and you have a team of exercise coaches all go for it, buddy?
I do have a team. I do have a team that supports this. But most of the things that comes with sales and the accountability side of things is I am that person. I'm building the relationship, and I'm the one that is making sure that my clients are comfortable, because it sometimes can be a bit offsetting if you are dealing with too many people, too many coaches, and to have someone that's focusing on everything that you do within your business. It just gives them a clearer vision as to where they're going and how they're going and who they're going with.
It's Friday, and some days I need more snap in my step. Can you tell me more about Snap?
Snap, I love Snap. It's a baby that I launched in 2023. Snap stands for self-navigation activity, and it's the number 2 to prosper. Because in sales, it's a contact sport. It's a belly-to-belly sport. You need to see the person to build relationships. So Snap is really a step-by-step framework that simplifies sales, that removes overwhelmment, and it builds consistency so that you can close more deals and be more confident in what you and how you do things. Snap it's a beautiful platform. I'm really loving it, and so does the clients who's used it. It got 4 modules in it, covering the foundations of sales, prospecting, lead generation, as well as sales presentation and building relationships. Together with that, you get resources, you get actionable solutions that you can use immediately within your business. And that, I think, is what makes Snap so different.
So I'm gonna assume then face-to-face contact. They said belly to belly. I haven't heard that in a long time, which means in-person meetings. How do you leverage then? Because I wouldn't mind going to UAE or South Africa or Australia, but it's not in the cards. And if I go one place, I can't be in all other places at the same time. So do you also leverage online? Does Snap help you in the online space as well, if you can't make that last mile of that in-person connection?
Yes, absolutely. Snap is designed for either online or in person. And that's really nice because we're all busy. We don't always have the time to have a coach or have an accountability person. So the Snap self-paced course is giving you that flexibility to do it on your own. But when you get stuck, That's the add-on of Snap, is you can connect with me and I can be there for you through the steps that you take using Snap at any given point in time, that wherever you're stuck, you can give me a shout and I can be there to guide you, being your lighthouse, if you will.
So does Snap make getting rejected easier?
I would probably say yes. Yes, it does.
If it makes rejection easier to deal with, why does it make easier to deal with?
I think it's purely because of Snap and the added value that Snap brings with me as an accountability partner. That's the difference. You're not alone. And most of us, when we hear the word sales, we want to hit the eject button and run away. And that's the platform that Snap does allow, is to not have the eject button. You rather have Janine button, because I'm going to be able to guide you through the steps and make sure that you understand every single aspect within Snap, so that you can snap your fingers and really have that lead generation option to create the successful business that you deserve.
That makes sense. So why would a person experience rejection? The reason I ask this question, if you know you're going to get a resounding no, or for example, I wouldn't come up to an 80-year-old typically and say, "Hi, do you want to go bungee cord jumping?" I think the answer is going to be typically, "I'm good, thanks. Carry on." Versus showing up with a bottle of scotch, which might tend to get more of a positive result in some places. So what do you get from a rejection? What do you take back as an understanding? Is it the method, or is it the wrong door to be knocked on?
Oh, Bernie, I love this. I'm one of the special people where I love it when people say no, because it's a challenge. I will convert you. It might not be now, but definitely later. Exactly. And it's about the fact that it's not always about your selling time, because your selling time is not the same as your client's buying time. And rejection isn't failure. I think a lot of people are comparing that to one another. Rejection is actually more about feedback. And we need to detach from the outcome and focus on the process, because sales is a process. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. And it's been said trillions of times that the more you hear the no, the closer you get to your yes. And with someone who's got over 2 decades of sales experience, I can absolutely say this is true. It's just to trust your process.
And you found a way that they can learn this at their own speed.
Yes. There's no cookie cruncher with how I do my mentoring. It's all about really understanding the struggles that my clients are going through. And from there on, it's building a program or a process, a sales process that's fit for their business. And based on that, we go through it space. So it's making sure that they understand, because I'm not here to add more stress. I'm here to take away stress, to ensure that you have fun in sales, because sales can really be fun. It's just knowing how to get to the fun part is where the trick lies.
When you take a person through a self-paced program with Snap, how long does that cycle typically take? And knowing that everybody, depending on industry and the person or the personality, and how long does that normally take them to cycle to get better at what they should be doing?
It's a very difficult question, I must be honest with you, because each person is completely different. And some of my clients have gone through the course in 3 months. But I typically say that between 6 and 8 months is your best, because of the fact that sales is a marathon. It takes time. It also takes time to build habits. And we used to have to build a habit in 21 days. Things have changed so much because we do so many things that it's actually now 90 days for you to build a habit. That is a scary thought. And as a business owner, you don't have 90 days to build that kind of structure for you to actually get leads and build a sales funnel. But if you understand the process and you trust what's going on and you see the progress, that's where the difference lies, because you will see the changes because you're doing the daily habits. And with that the self-paced course is you can always go back. You can always go back to the self-paced course section, wherever it was that you were struggling with, and go back and re-look and re-improvise, take notes, make changes, and refine what you're currently doing to then achieve what you want to achieve.
And you have a podcast to help people. I understand specifically women, but you have a podcast to help people do this better.
The Woman Wise podcast, thanks for mentioning that, Wayne, is all about uplifting females within Dubai. And it's where they're sharing their stories as to, because we always see the success. We never know and we never see how the challenges from where they were to where they are now. And that's the stories that we love to share. And Woman Wise podcast is all about uplifting. And that's where Snap is all about, is to make sure that you are staying uplifted within your sales process.
Would you say that would be a common thing globally, or is more Middle East, Africa? And this is me asking because I'm not sure. I've never been. And so I don't have a sense of the culture in that space. Other than I do know people are people. It doesn't matter what language you speak, what color your skin is. Some things hold true no matter what. But would you say that is a kind of a universal thing then for women, or is it women and whoever else that would fit that profile? Is that typical?
Yes, I think it is universal, definitely. And I've been through, I went to London, I lived in South Africa, and now here in Dubai, and seeing certain things that takes place, you realize that, okay, I am on the right track, because it's a world round thing that's taking place. And it comes back to relatable. If I can relate to that, it makes it easier. So my answer is definitely it's universal.
There's a thought currently among the Gen Z and millennials that you don't have to sell anymore. All you have to do is build a sales page, advertise the stuff out of it, and then just collect the money. Why do we still sell?
I love that. I love that, Wayne, because it's so not true. We have to go back to basics. The things that worked in the past, they worked for a reason. And yeah, you do have apps and things like that where things happen. But you can't cover every single generation. You cannot tell me that every single human on earth loves apps, loves AI, loves certain things. So you need to make sure that you cover every single aspect of your business, and sales is 100% part of it. It's just the how you do it that makes the difference.
Is there a specific industry that this is most suited for, versus someone who builds automobiles versus someone who is a dentist versus someone who sells SaaS, software as a service, or coaching services where it's a personalized connection between the client? Or a one-to-many scenario where you're, let's say, you're a networker, right? And then you're one person to many at the same time. Is this Snap ideal for any of these particular areas, or is it one size fits all?
It is for SMEs and startups. And to be honest, it's for any industry. It's, at the end of the day, it comes down to, if you don't have a process, how do you actually work? It doesn't matter if you're a dentist. It doesn't matter if you are in development, in real estate. If you don't have a process, where are you keeping track of what? We need to think of sales as a dating. You're dating, which means you will do everything to make sure that your date is having a fantastic time. And that's where it comes with our clients. We need to make sure that they are having a fantastic time with us. And the problem with most companies at this point is they don't follow up. And why is that? It's because they don't have a process. They don't even know where they're at. And if they had the process, they would have known how to follow up, because 80% of sale happens after the 5th or 7th follow-up. And the scary part is most people, they stop after the first or maybe the second one. It's very few and far between those people that will actually push to follow up after the 3rd or 4th time. So sales process is very vital.
So if a person isn't selling as effectively as they want, and they say, I need to do something, and Snap may be a part of it, how much money should I be putting aside?
That's the thing. It's really cost effective, because for me, Snap is built because I want to touch people's lives with the process. The more lives I can touch in terms of business owners realizing the importance of having a sales process, the better it is for everyone, because then you'll be less stressed. Let's say, I wouldn't say there's world peace, but there might be business peace, if you will, because if you have that sales process, things will be far better, because then we're not going to be waiting for leads to actually come in. We have actionable steps to get to the leads. We're not going to be selling without qualifying. We're going to be qualifying because we've got the process. So everything will fall in place. And that's where the difference is.
So do you also work with non-for-profits or charities? Is that a space that you can help turn more? Because although a charity or non-for-profit typically is not a sales of a product, the sales of an idea to support something, is that an area that space you will also be involved with?
Oh, 100%. It doesn't matter if you are asking for money or not asking for money. There is still a sales aspect into it. When you meet someone for the first time, you're already selling yourself. You're selling your personality. You're selling your friendship. But you're not putting sales pitches in there. You're not having a script in there to make sure that they like you. You are you, and that is what you want, because then that's the authenticity that comes through. So NGOs are still a place where you still need to reach out to people. It might be a different process, but a sales process is definitely still needed to ensure that you're on the right track. You are targeting the right people or the companies. How are you presenting to these companies to get sponsorships, for example? Do you know how to do presentations? Are you aware of certain aspects of businesses? There's so many things when it comes to sales. So I absolutely say yes, that NGOs and NPOs definitely do also have a sales process.
What should a startup take away as their key points to get started?
To get started is to realize that sales is a marathon. As I said, it's not a sprint, and really understanding and trusting the process. Having someone that is there to guide you, make sure that they can help you through your sales challenges is key, because we can't do things on our own. Sometimes we're way too close to the project, and when someone outside comes in with a different perspective, the light comes on and they realize, oh my goodness, that's all I needed to move to the next step.
So if we want to snap to it, how do we get a hold of you?
You can get hold of me through LinkedIn, and as well as sending me an email. And the email address is HELLO for hello @jelanisales.com. That would be the best way, is to send an email or connect with me on LinkedIn.
I want to say thank you to Janine, my co-host Wayne, and you, the Act for Business listeners. If you're a startup, SMB, small, medium business, and you're finding that you're struggling with sales, Janine's available. Now, keep in mind, she's in the UAE, so she's just underneath Europe, roughly speaking, I should say. And so time of day. So if you're here in North America, you have early morning is a good time to connect, not in the evening.
To reach the podcast hosts, email them at info@creativeinsight.com or by the website creativeinsight.com, spelled KREAVINSIGHT.com. To reach Wayne at his email, wayne@motivateyou.ca, that is MOTIVE, the numeral letter U.ca, or his website, motivateyou.ca. If you would like to be a guest on this podcast and share your knowledge, let us know. We would also appreciate your feedback on the content or format. Check the show notes for more details. For these podcasts, we like to acknowledge the support and thanks to the following people. Carl Richards from Podcast Solutions Made Simple, a renowned podcast expert. Fred Crouch, who is the Property Wizard podcaster, where Bernie is a co-host. Jovan Strika from Hive, a co-working space that is more than just a space. Then Melanie Weber, Bernie's invaluable business partner, and Wayne Pratt from Motivate You Inc., who serves as both a coach and co-host of these podcasts. Disclaimer: please note that the Knack for Business podcast episodes are meant solely for educational and general informational purposes. The information and opinions contained within are not intended to be professional advice on any subject matter. The thoughts, views, and opinions expressed by the participants are their own personal beliefs and do not represent the views of the podcast hosts or any affiliated organizations. It is important to note that this podcast is not a replacement for consulting with certified experts in your area who possess knowledge of your unique situation. The hosts of the podcast, along with any participants or affiliated groups, do not take responsibility for any actions taken or not taken based on the information presented in this episode. It is highly recommended that individuals seek guidance from their own personal advisors in fields such as accounting, law, or other pertinent areas prior to undertaking any actions or making decisions that may impact their financial, legal, or other aspects of life.